Hi, welcome. I'm Karen Asselin, a Bowspring ATEX teacher.
Hi, I'm Annie Schachtel, also a Bowspring ATIX teacher, and we're a part of Bowspring ATIX, which is an international and virtual platform where anywhere can join us online to practice Bowspring on a daily basis. We offer classes every day, and you can practice from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah. Um, and we'll just say we're gathered today. We came to this episode today to talk about one of our themes. And just to make mention that all of our classes in Bowspring ATEX, we include theming, we include an emotional contact, a spiritual content in the class. So it's not just a physical practice because Bowspring has never been just a physical practice. It's always been a mental, emotional, and spiritual practice as well. And so each week we choose a specific theme to highlight or a body part or whatever comes to mind for us as a group of teachers, as a collective, we choose these themes. And this past week, we did scared, stuck, and sleepy. So that was a super fun and interesting one to really be able to approach and look at ourselves in a different lens. Because oftentimes, the themes will be on a positive note or, something like a body part that we're focusing on, but really bringing in that. Like a detective's eye or like a magnifying glass on what is stuck, scared, and sleepy, because we all are. We all
Yeah.
are in one way or another, stuck, scared, or sleepy in some body part, in some place, our mind, our emotional state, we get stuck, scared, and sleepy all the time. So it really is a fun idea to explore.
Yeah, and just like you say, we all are like in one way or another, from one day to another, we are sometimes scared, we're sometimes stuck, and sometimes sleepy, and we can be all of it, and or
Mhm.
sometimes none. But it's like natural defense mechanisms that we take on, and if we're under threat or if we're experiencing something heavy or something that is like life changing or something a big event in life, we go into these states that we are either scared, we're afraid of something, we get stuck, and we get sleepy. And with the bowspring method, it's about really bringing awareness to where we go into these states and when it's useful, because they can be useful. It's um, like survival skill, even if like if you're out on the wild and you're being hunted, like if you're talking like animal terms, then it's useful to be able to freeze or to hold or for example, but in our everyday life, it's often not so useful, and we get stuck in these different states, being scared, stuck, or sleepy without even noticing. So, with the bowspring method, we really bring our awareness to when we stay in one of these states, and peel off the layers and really repattern through this openness and the expansive posture that we practice in the bowspring method.
Yeah, and that's the beauty, I think, about the bowstring method is that we have this algorithm, we have this map. And so, if at first we realize, oh, okay, my glutes are tucked, or, my rib cage is not as inflated, or my ribs
Mhm.
are stuck, right? The ribs can feel stuck
Yeah.
sometimes, like really. So then we know, okay, now they're feeling stuck in this direction. What is the directionality that I want to take them in case of the rib cage, forward and up all the time, expansive 360 degrees. And so when we know where we're headed, because oftentimes when we're scared, it's the unknown, right? It's like we don't know
Yeah.
what's coming. We lost our job. We have to find a new one. We don't know what's coming. We're moving to a new house, or I don't know, millions of examples, right, that we can throw out there, which it's like the unknown. We don't know what's coming. We're not sure. But
Mm.
Bowspring gives us that stability and that safety net of like, okay, if you're here and point A, you're headed towards point B. Now let's take the steps to get there, and it's not going to be all at once. Suddenly all the ribs are going to come unstuck and they're going to be awake and we have an alive and posterior chain. I wish, right? It takes time and dedication
Yeah.
and coming back to it time and time again and then realizing where we are in the moment. But we have clear directionalities. It's not a guessing game. You don't have to like, oh, my ribs today going to go down? No, never. Always up. The glutes always
Mm,
up, you know? And so I think that's helpful in this journey that we know that like our emotional state, just like you said, if it's a traumatizing event or like a life change and we're really closed off.
yeah.
And so we know that. And sometimes on that point, you don't know which way is up. You don't know how to
Mm,
move from that scared, stuck, and sleepy place. And so it's like you start by putting one foot in front of the other. And in Bowspring, it's like you start by just approaching proximity towards like balance, towards like harmony, like just, trying to inch your way towards that harmonic space where you have uniform tone, where you have all the body parts in their places.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. And the bowspring, the practice can really help you in any of these states. But to break it down a bit, like to start with the fear, like being scared, how it can be functional for you, and like help you actually is when you like detect danger somewhere, like when you're supposed to be fear because you're supposed to detect danger and remove yourself out of that situation, like if you're an animal on the savannah, but if you're like, I don't know, out in the dark in the middle of the night and there's a stranger coming, for example, then it's useful. But if we stay in that scared state, like for example, like we're afraid of, I don't know, failing or afraid of
Yeah.
being hurt or losing someone we love or being judged, all of those, like how is that useful for you to stay in those thought patterns and being stuck in that state of being like constantly more or less scared? Then it's not useful, and that's really where the bowspring practice can be so helpful and uh, get you like in a different loop of thoughts, and by practicing this open and expansive posture. And also what we practice in the method is like compassion, mindfulness, and accountability.
Right.
And with that you grow so much and take you out of these states, and yeah, working a lot with the self-love, and then you can get rid of those thoughts that usually are not so beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's exactly right what you're saying. It gives us like this lens on where we are in the moment. And,
Hmm.
you're mentioning the class, and I'll even take it out into, when we feel fear, what do? We like curl
Exactly.
up, we close off,
Yeah.
right? And so sometimes, even if it's not as extreme as I was just showing, we talked about pregnancy in the previous podcast, but I remember one of the telltale signs that I'm uncomfortable was like the clenching of the glutes, the closing of the
Mm.
glutes, like really. And so you can see these signals, these signs from your body once you learn them, once you are able
Yeah.
to observe them and pick up on them. And then you realize, oh, I'm actually not headed in the direction that I want to be in. I need to do, unclench the glutes, unclench my jaw, whatever,
Yeah.
change my posture, change my way in order to move towards the direction that I want to be, which is
Yeah.
more openness and more, um, yeah, just being
Yeah.
open to receive.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, oftentimes I'm just going to say that oftentimes the fear is unfounded. It's just because,
Yeah.
we don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, when we are scared, we go into the small posture. Like it's very
Mhm.
natural. And like we go into the small and contracted position because we're protecting ourselves. Like
Yeah.
it's nothing wrong with that. But like just like you say, is it fun? Like does it stand on like a steady like foundation? Like is it really like is it useful for you to be scared right now? Is it serving you, or is it not? And Bowspring, like we said, is really bringing awareness to that. So that's one of the patterns that you can stay in, that we're trying to like
Unravel.
what's that?
Unravel, like
Unravel.
unwind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have the stuck, and you were talking about stiffness and stickiness in the fascia, in the tissues,
Yeah.
and you can feel that it's come from a place of fear, and then you tense and you hold and you get stuck in that
Yeah.
position when
Yeah. It's a
we're
hardening.
yeah, exactly. Hardening, and it can even be like with your thought patterns that you're stuck with a certain way of thinking, and
Mhm. Exactly.
you don't really see the bigger perspective. You have like a narrow view of
Myopic view.
things.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's also like to open that, and sometimes it can feel when you're stuck in the stickiness in being stuck, then it can feel like it's hard to breathe, even like to that you don't have the capacity to ventilate and to open up your
Yeah.
lungs and your heart and your ribs.
Yeah.
So with the bowspring method, we practice just that, like to open up and to expand and work with the elasticity in the tissues to get rid of the stickiness.
Yeah, and the fascia remembers whatever
Yeah.
program we put into it the most, it'll stay there. The
Mm.
body wants this kind of ease to it. And so either it's ease by like staying with what's familiar, like status quo, don't change what I know, I'm going to stay
Mm.
right here. Or we can lead it towards ease with actually like sculpting the body into more ease, because it's like, water will move to the path with the least resistance, right? That's how it goes and penetrates, the big, we get the biggest waterfalls and it can go through whatnot. And it would be the same with us, the body doesn't want a lot of resistance. And so it'll go to where it can find its way with the most ease. And oftentimes, if we're in these hardened positions, in these hardened postures, we'll just maintain them all of our life. It will stay the same.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody listening can think about family members or loved ones or whatever, or people that you see on the street and you see how the tissue has hardened and you kind of people get like really big like hunchbacks or that's an extreme example, but like really kind of
Mm.
curled over with age, and it's modeled to us that that's how you're going to age. You're going to eventually need a cane to walk. Like that's how we've
Yeah.
been shown images and stories from when we're little, and it's
Mm.
like Bowspring comes out and says no, we're going the opposite way. We're going background to tail as we advance and evolve, and or back of the head towards the towards the back of your body, that kind of
Mm.
lifted idea. And just to say, like, so fascia remembers, and the more
Mm.
that we pattern and the more that we input the same message and the same idea, then eventually it will stay, and that will be the majority of what we experience throughout a day versus
Yeah.
the fear or the stuckness or the stiffness or that kind of thing, which can also become your pattern.
Yeah. And with the bowspring, we are really awakening the tissues. Like
Yeah.
there's no way you can stay sleepy in this practice. You have to turn it on and you have to be alert and
Yeah.
be mindful and be present, really be present in your body. So it really awakens the tissues and learn them to respond like with grace. And instead of if you're stuck in the sleepy like mode, then you can even go into like depression and you disassociate and
Yeah.
um, you basically just like walk through your life without really fully being there,
Yeah.
staying in that sleepy. You're not like really present. So yeah, that's what the bowspring does. Like it helps us out of it, like to tap out of it, and it can elevate your mood, and it works with the open posture because how you hold your body, how you position yourself, and how you posture yourself, it affects your body and your mind, your soul, everything. It's from in and out, but also from out and in. So in
Yeah.
that way, you can like fool yourself also
Yeah.
out of it by practice an open posture. You will see eventually the more you practice and when the more you repattern the body, the nervous system, that you will feel differently and your
Yeah.
thought will start to shift
Yeah.
as you practice this open posture.
I'll just say that I still have some parts of me that are still sleepy and waiting to awaken into uniform tone. I feel like it's a never-ending quest. If we get into Falcon and I'm feeling my back leg there, it's a little asleep, so
Yeah,
it's like, but that's the beauty of it,
yeah,
and that's what I meant in the beginning when we're kind of looking with this detectives or curious mind or like with a magnifying glass, and it's not in like a stern way or an angry way or like, oh my gosh, my glute wasn't engaged in that pose. No, it's like, hey, I see you. You're
Mm-hmm.
still asleep, you haven't awakened yet, so come along for
Mm,
the ride. This is how you're going. We're moving, if it's the glute, we're moving it up, mounting it onto your sacrum. This is the directionality. I've got you. We're on this route together, and we're gonna
mm-hmm.
make it. Kind of
Yeah.
like you speak to your children or you speak to someone you love, and that's the journey, that's the adventure, and thank God it's never ending. Like there's
Yeah.
gonna always be places in our body that we need to learn to uniformly tone, to awaken, to
Yeah.
activate more, we can always get more out of it. And yeah, it's a fun quest. It's a fun
Yeah.
journey. Like it really is something that we have a lot of fun in Bowspring classes,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah, yeah, no, a lot of fun. And of course, you can't like awaken all like in one class and then it's on and it's alert and you're springy, you just bounce through the rest of your life just like that. Like some tissues, some parts of your body will be harder to awaken and to activate and to engage. But the practice is really about like once again bringing that awareness, but to awaken the mind so you can notice and be present of
Wow.
where you need to shift and where you need to like make adjustments as you practice.
Yeah.
So that awakening first, perhaps
Yeah.
the sleepy mind.
For sure.
Mm.
And the sleepy, I think Bowspring also, it will kind of trigger you in a way, right? Like to notice these things. And then you start to, like you said, you see the bigger view. And then you
Yeah.
start to make these choices that are most beneficial for the path that you want to be on. Because when you're asleep, you're not really sure where you're headed, where you're going, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just doing this, making some money, doing something. It's just kind of like, but if you're like
Mm.
in the process of building towards something, of growing something, of, really being in this place of participation. That's also what you were talking about exactly there is like you're participating with life, you're present, and
Yeah.
you know where you're headed. So Bowspring really does give us this clear map, this clear directionality, this clear message, even of like, this is where we're headed. Let's all be on this train together. And, we're ready. It's the practice of readiness. So I think it gives us like
Hmm.
a sense of
Yeah.
safety.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, no, it does. Like a safety in ourselves, in our bodies. And it teaches you how to like respond mindfully rather than like react just like from
Uh-huh.
nowhere. Because then you would get into like either the fear or the being stuck or sleepiness or like withdraw or disassociate or whatever your pattern is. But it really, yeah, teaches you to like respond more mindfully because you're aware, because you're like, okay, like you can make an active choice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I see I'm
Notice,
being
reflect,
triggered.
and
Yeah.
then act from there.
Exactly.
Mm.
Like I notice I'm being triggered. I know my buttons are being pushed right now. What is the reaction that I'd like to deliver to the world? Because I know for me, I'm
Yeah.
a little hot-blooded, and so I'll kind of react quickly. And so really learning how to make space between my reaction and or the incident and my reaction is
Hmm.
extremely helpful. I'm not
Yeah, like just learning like to take a breath before you respond,
exactly
whatever it may be. And I mean, no one is perfect. We all have our moments. I
right.
for sure also will all of a sudden be like, ah. Sometimes, yeah. But that's how we learn. That's how we grow when we you
Exactly.
notice those things and like, how do I want to be, or what is like serving me, like also in the
Yeah.
long run. Yeah.
Yeah, what is my next response going to look like, right? We don't harden to the past and be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe blah blah blah," and then just stay in that loop. But
Mm.
like, okay, this is how I reacted. This was my response. This was my choice in the moment. I maybe did the best I could or not. And then for the next time, I want to choose differently. I want to react in a different way. I'm gonna, take these active measures and these actions in the moment, like you said, pause, breathe, and then I
Hmm.
can respond in a different way. And that's exactly the same in our practice. Like, okay, I see this time, my glute wasn't awake, or, I flew my toes, God forbid. Whatever, right? And so next time I will not. I will keep my toenails on the horizon. I will keep my paw connected, the front of my foot connected to the ground, and so on and so
Mm.
forth. And
Yeah.
so, but that reassurance, like the fact that we know where the toenails need to be, where your rib cage needs to be. It's not like a guessing game and it's always the same. I think that is one of the biggest gifts in practicing bowstring.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So is there something that you would like to give our listeners in regards to this theme?
Yeah, if I already spoke about toes, I think that's a really good one for like the fear, right? The reactivity,
Yes.
like where you're just like everything flies up, toes flies up, and the hands fly up, and you're just like in this shocking state or shock state, right? And so I would ask all of the listeners when you're walking in your shoes, what are your toes doing? I
Mm,
think that's one of the first things that really helped me realize, even when I, in my practice, kept my toes, down and all that, but noticing in the shoes, because it's almost like we're trying to hold the shoes with our toes and we fly them up, which is ridiculous because we're not doing that. And so just to let the toes soften and let
mm,
the toenails still be on the horizon where you're not flying your toes, not in your shoes and not in your flip-flops, I will say. Here in Texas, we wear flip-flops a lot. And so just to keep that, and then that will be so calming for the nervous system. And it might
mm.
even, just show you a different state of being.
Yeah, yeah, good one. Hard one, but yeah, good one. Yeah. Okay, I was thinking about what I just mentioned about taking that, giving yourself that pause before reacting.
Yeah.
So if you are in a situation where you feel very like urged to react quickly, if you feel agitated or you get upset for some reason, then give yourself like a moment, take a pause, take a full breath into your rib cage, expand your ribs out wide, front and back and up. And from that open posture and with that more calm breath, see then how you want to respond.
I love it. It's
Yeah.
great.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure chatting with you, Karen.
Always, always.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. See you next time.